Welcome to the CEO of Destiny podcast, where you will find the tools to fulfill the purpose of your generation and wildly succeed in the marketplace. And now your host, Andre J. Benjamin.
I love how you speak on themes, investor having themes and picking themes in which they invest in. Can you speak to that a little?
Yeah, I think themes are really important. I like the idea of sound money as an investment theme. So I would be investing in Bitcoin. I like the idea of autonomous protocols and platforms. So there are a bunch of crypto assets you can buy, like, Ethereum and Solana and some other ones that are about autonomous protocols. There's another one that's interesting called governance tokens. These are different types of assets because they're almost analogous to something like stocks or equity. You can think of equity as like the claim or a right to cash flows after a business has paid all its expenses. And that's a right. The governance token has a right to, it's a different right, but it's the right to vote on the maintenance and upgrade of that blockchain. And so you really have power, democratic power, to be able to, scope and see how this is going to be upgraded, what features it has, and then ultimately, if it's generating cash flows, how those cash flows might be disseminated. And so,
can you give an example of a governance token?
Yeah, something like Compound. Compound is it's a platform where you can go and lend and borrow cryptocurrencies. It generates interest rates for borrowers and for lenders. It takes a fee, the software automatically takes a fee for some of that. It also gives out compound tokens for participants as incentives for using the platform. And so people want more and more compound tokens because they, then they can, vote on the compound blockchain. And so with compound tokens, when they have upgrades or when they decide to add different crypto assets, or sometime in the future, they may vote on distribution of revenue. And so these governance tokens can be valuable if the community, if all these blockchains are economic communities, right? And if there are incentives in there, and if more and more people are using that, value is getting created. And if the value is getting created, then the right to govern that value is also going up. And so this idea of governance tokens are really valuable.
When you talk about, well, thank you. When you think about, a few more questions, when you think about volatility, can you speak to the volatility and kind of the trends that have happened and then kind of contrast it with fiat and our traditional means of what we consider money? Can you talk about people, you think about, I think it was it 2020 that a lot of crypto, it was kind of dead or didn't move, or there was a point where, everybody's like, oh, it's done, it's over. And then there was a surge, and then it's, it's up, down, up, down, up, down. But when you talk about that in the long term, and I know it's been a short window, it's not 50 years to be able to evaluate, or even 100 years, but can you speak to what you're seeing with volatility and people's concerns about volatility of cryptocurrencies?
Yeah, it's painful. You have to really ultimately think about this as a technology first, and we're just really in the early phases of it. And so when something is limited supply, and then when it's reflexive, it's very reflexive. And so what that means is when it goes up a lot. And when it goes down a lot. And so, we hope and theorize that as it becomes bigger market cap, multi-trillions of dollars, the volatility will diminish. And ultimately, when it becomes more and more adopted and used, then the volatility will diminish. But the volatility is hard. How you handle that is through duration and through position sizing in your portfolio. So that's why you would put only, say 5% of your portfolio in something like, Bitcoin or crypto assets, or more if you can handle volatility and know that you're going to use duration. Anybody who's had Bitcoin longer than 3.25 years, so 3.25 years, has made money on Bitcoin. So as long as you had held it that long, you didn't lose money. So with volatility, you have to have commitment to duration, to holding it, and having position sizing, having it not too big of a position in your portfolio.
When you when you talk about exchanges, do you purchase and leave your purchases on exchanges, or what is your feeling about wallets? That was a friend that told me to ask you that. They had a list of questions that they said, ask him this, ask him that, ask him what he thinks about the exchanges and the wallets, because he lost a little bit of money in a test. He said that he didn't know what he was doing, and it had him verify here, and then somebody got him for let's say it was a couple $100, and he said, I wasn't sweating it because I was testing it anyways. But he says, can you ask Mr. Ryan about wallets and the exchanges? What is his feeling on them, and how he personally, what he does and what he would do for your clients as well,
Yeah, so it's a little bit different for me because I'm an institution and I hold it, or I have it custodied by a third party on behalf of my clients. But and I need to do that, for regulation reasons and other reasons. I think eventually in the long run, everybody needs to have wallets and personally own and understand how to use wallets. But that takes knowledge. It takes a while to figure out how to send, Bitcoins around and how to manage a wallet safely. I think it's okay in the beginning to, for a while, to just keep it on exchanges, provided that you have good security precautions. So good security precautions include using two-factor authentication and using whitelists to limit the addresses that your currency can be sent to. So if you have good, strong passwords, if you have two-factor authentication, and if you have whitelists, I think keeping it on this exchange is a valid thing today. Whereas in 2017, it was more risky, I would say. But really, in the future, ultimately, not your coin, not your keys, not your coins. You want to be able to have, these are bearer instruments. These are, the value is within the holding of them. If something goes wrong or goes down, you want to have them in your possession. If they're in an exchange, they're not technically yours, right? And so not your keys, not your coins. Ultimately, you want them in wallets. So
years when I did the set it and forget it with the little bit that I put in, and I had used one Binance in, I think it was 2017. And then, some of my peers who had actually been watching their stuff were like, hey, you can't, Binance got shut down or something. And they said, you got to go and get it off of by this date. And, they said, let me come to your house and I'll put it in a wallet for you. And so they did that with a good portion of it. There's some still there, but I didn't understand it because they said that they were explaining to me about wallets and saying that, you want to make sure to have it in your possession, versus the exchange was a good introduction for you, but you need to have it in a wallet. So right. Your feeling is, like you said, if it's not in your possession, then it's not yours. Do you believe there are good ways for people to pick, or do you have a criteria on how people should evaluate wallets and even learn about wallets? Have you found resources and information for people to read up more or study? Because the learning curve of even picking the right wallet.
Yeah, the general standard is that the hardware wallets are better. So there's a couple makers of hardware wallets. There is a service called Casa that is very reputable. They only handle Bitcoin, but it's a very strong wallet or service of a wallet, because it does multi-sig, right? You have to have multiple people sign off. And so that one is a third party, but you do have the wallets. So a hardware wallet like Ledger or a service like Casa, I think are all pretty good. But it takes a little research and figure out which one works best for you. I think it's okay to keep things on exchanges, but you want the ability to be able to put it on the wallet and know that you have it. Yeah, that's important.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. Do us a favor. If this was useful in any way for you, please go to iTunes and leave us a review. Reviews will allow others to easily discover the podcast. If you'd like more information and to receive a free download, rediscover your destiny, go to CIOofdestiny.com. Thanks again, and tune in next time.